Okay, let's get one thing straight. When the fans stop watching, it's not just a crisis, it's a code red. And in Cleveland, sirens are blaring. Because Browns Nation has made one thing painfully clear. No Shedeur, no viewership. The city that bleeds orange and brown is now threatening to turn off the TV entirely. Why? Because head coach Kevin Stefanski continues to play it safe. And in this league, safe is boring.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Safe is forgettable. Safe gets you booed out of your own stadium when there's a generational talent sitting on the bench, helmet on, camera ready, while Kenny Pickett just got shipped off to Vegas in a quiet little trade that screamed, "We're building around the young guys." Or are we? Because even though the Browns now have not one, but two electric young quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, guess who's still running things with the enthusiasm of a dial-up modem? Kevin Stefanski. The man calling plays like it's 2004, and the goal is to not lose rather than actually win. Let's rewind for a second. When the Browns traded Kenny Pickett to the Raiders, most people didn't flinch. He wasn't exactly lighting it up. But for Browns fans, it was a signal, a shift, a declaration that the future of the franchise is going to be faster, flashier, and a hell of a lot younger. It was Shedeur time. Finally. The move opened up a QB room that was feeling more like a traffic jam than a game plan. But what did Coach Stefanski do with this moment of clarity? He blinked. He hesitated. He went right back to his dusty binder of smart football plays, runs up the middle, short curls, conservative red zone packages, and left Shedeur warming the bench while the franchise burned. And fans? They saw everything. They saw Shedeur on the sideline, full pads, visor gleaming under stadium lights, looking like a human highlight reel, just waiting for his cue. They saw flashes of energy every time he jogged out for warm-ups. And then nothing. Just more checkdowns, more punting, more yawns. It's no longer about football, people. This is entertainment. It's spectacle. It's the NFL as a content machine. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not just a quarterback. He's a walking ratings boost. He's got the charisma, the arm, the swagger, the pedigree. His Instagram stories hit harder than half the Browns' offense. His name trends on game day, even when he doesn't play. That's power. So when Stefanski continues to bench the future of the league in favor of system football, fans feel like they're being robbed. And they're starting to do the one thing ownership fears the most, tuning out. TV ratings? Dropping. Stadium seats? Getting emptier. Jerseys? Sitting on racks. The vibes? Decaying. Browns fans have always been loyal to the point of masochism, but even they have a limit. And watching their team waste Shedeur's talent is starting to feel like being gaslit by their own franchise. You can practically hear the chants in First Energy Stadium already. Let him play. Meanwhile, the media machine is working overtime. Every time Stefanski gets asked about Shedeur, he delivers the same robotic answer. He's progressing well. We like where he's at. We're evaluating week by week. Evaluating what exactly? The courage to take a risk? The guts to let your offense breathe? Because let's be honest, this team isn't fighting for middle-of-the-road mediocrity anymore. They've got the talent. They've got the fan base. And now they've got the quarterback. They just need someone bold enough to use him. And that's where the paranoia kicks in. Because the longer Stefanski avoids giving Shedeur his shot, the louder the whispers get. Is it fear? Is it ego? Is he trying to avoid being upstaged by a 21-year-old with more followers than the entire offensive line combined? People are starting to say the quiet part out loud. Stefanski might be sabotaging Shedeur. Not in the cartoony twirl your mustache and hide the playbook way, but in the more subtle, insidious way that coaches can control narratives. Giving fewer reps in practice. Designing game plans that don't match the rookie's strengths. Framing development as not ready, when the truth is, he's just not your guy. And here's the twist. By keeping Shedeur sidelined, Stefanski might actually be pushing himself closer to the exit door. Because while he clings to his old-school playbook like it's gospel, the league has moved on. Teams are thriving with young, dual-threat quarterbacks who make mistakes, but also make magic. Look around. The successful teams are the ones taking risks, rolling out highlight plays, giving the kids the keys to the castle. Meanwhile, Cleveland is stuck in a holding pattern, a quarterback carousel, a stale identity. And every week Shedeur doesn't start, the heat on Stefanski turns up another degree. Even Dylan Gabriel, another fresh-faced talent with serious upside, is now seen as more of a threat to Stefanski's system than a backup plan. You can feel it building. The young guns are circling, and the coach is running out of excuses. The irony? This roster is good. The Browns are so close to something special. A fiery defense, strong weapons, a fan base begging for a little risk. All it takes is a coach willing to bet big. And Stefanski? Still folding with a full house. It's not even about Shedeur being perfect. It's about what he represents. Hope, movement, chaos. The good kind. The kind that wins you games you shouldn't win. That lights up TikTok. That makes casual fans buy tickets just to feel something again. But instead, Browns fans are watching the same predictable script unfold week after week. And now, with Pickett out of the picture and two high-potential QBs on deck, the only explanation for the status quo is fear. Fear of change. Fear of noise. Fear of being overshadowed. And listen, if Stefanski can't handle that spotlight, then maybe he's in the wrong show. This isn't the era of faceless football anymore. This is the age of brands. And Shedeur is a brand, whether you like it or not. He's got the following, the flash, the backstory. He's marketable, memorable, media-ready. And yes, he's still raw, still learning. But that hasn't stopped a dozen other teams from starting their rookies and reaping the chaos. So why are the Browns playing it scared? You've got fans literally refusing to tune in. That's not just a protest. That's a boycott. That's a direct hit to ad revenue. Ratings deals, merch sales, everything that keeps the gears turning. You think the league isn't noticing? You think ownership isn't feeling the tremor? Please. The clock is ticking. Not just on this season, but on the entire Stefanski era. Because this team is teetering on the edge of something huge. The Browns could be the next breakout story. The next team to go from middle-tier blah to viral highlight machine. But it all hinges on one thing. Letting the kid play. Letting the crowd feel electric again. Letting the locker room rally around something bold and new. Letting go of the ghost of safe football and embracing the glorious, unpredictable mess that is building a team around a star quarterback. And if Stefanski can't see that, the fans already have. So go ahead, Cleveland. Make the call. Roll the dice. And for the love of everything orange and brown, give us Shedeur. Because until you do, we're not watching. We're past the awkward phase of this Brown saga. We're beyond polite analysis. What's happening now is a full-on standoff between the fans and the man with the headset. Kevin Stefanski is officially in panic mode, and not because he's losing games, but because he's losing the people. And once the fans walk out emotionally, it's over. There's this unspoken rule in sports. When the crowd turns, when they stop booing and just leave, that's when the foundation starts to crack. And that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. The crowd isn't just booing. They're flipping the channel. They're canceling Sunday plans. They're selling tickets for a fraction of face value, not because the team is bad, but because they're boring. And you cannot be boring when you have Shedeur Sanders on your bench. It's like owning a Ferrari and refusing to take it out of the garage because you're scared of scratching the paint. Who does that? Who chooses beige when they got fire engine red idling on the sideline? Stefanski. That's who. And now he's scrambling. Internally, reports say meetings are tense. He's being advised to consider public perception. Translation: please do something before this entire fanbase revolts. Assistants are whispering. Analysts are prepping 2 game plans, one for Shedeur, one for not Shedeur, and morale is in freefall because no one knows which version they're waking up to each week. Even the players are starting to feel it. You think those wide receivers don't want a QB who throws deep, who scrambles, improvises, makes plays on the fly? Who gives them highlight moments instead of a 3-yard drag on 3rd and 8? Come on. The defense? They're exhausted. They've been carrying this team for seasons. And now they're watching the offense deliberately limp its way through games while the future sits on the bench. And then there's the elephant in the room no one wants to say out loud. Kevin Stefanski is scared of Shedeur Sanders. Not because Shedeur isn't good, but because Shedeur might actually be great. And if he is, that greatness will not belong to Stefanski. It'll belong to the fans, to the Sanders brand, to the new era. And Stefanski knows the second Shedeur explodes, he becomes the background character in his own locker room. Just another guy who was around when the real star showed up. That's what he's afraid of. Look, this isn't new. We've seen it before, coaches terrified of being overshadowed by a young, magnetic player who shifts the culture. It's happened in the NBA, in college ball, even in politics. People cling to control, even when it's slipping through their fingers. But here's the problem. You can't coach control into this situation. You have to let go and trust that chaos can be beautiful. Because right now, the Browns have a choice to make, and the clock is ticking louder than ever. Path 1. Stay the course. Keep things stable. Keep Shedeur off the field until he's ready. Keep running the most forgettable offensive scheme in the division. Keep bleeding viewership, ticket sales, and goodwill until your fan base turns apathetic instead of angry. And once they stop caring, you're toast. Path 2. Light the match. Let Shedeur play. Give him the offense. Let him make mistakes. Let him roll out and bomb it deep. Let him throw picks and touchdowns. Let the stadium erupt. Let the brand flourish. Let the city believe in something again, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect. Because guess what? Fans don't want perfect. They want real. They want energy. They want to be able to text their friends during the game and say, "Are you seeing this?" They want to feel alive on Sunday. And right now, Stefanski's system is sucking the life out of Sundays. Every play call feels like a corporate meeting. Every game plan looks like it was written by someone who's terrified of risk. Meanwhile, Shedeur is standing there, the literal embodiment of risk and reward, and being told to wait his turn while Cleveland's momentum quietly dies. And it's not just Cleveland anymore. National media is circling. NFL insiders are stirring the pot. Former players are hinting at it on talk shows. The league is watching, wondering why a team with a golden ticket is insisting on using it as a bookmark. Even opposing teams are catching on. You don't think they're relieved when Shedeur doesn't play? Of course they are. Because no one wants to game plan for a wild card. No one wants to face a kid with a cannon, legs like a sprinter, and something to prove. They'd much rather face a safe system they've seen 100 times. And this is where the story gets poetic. Because the Browns of all franchises have never been safe. They've been loud. They've been dramatic. They've been tragic and beautiful and chaotic and infuriating. But never boring. Never beige. Until now. That's the legacy Kevin Stefanski is fighting for, not to lose. But Cleveland wants a coach who's fighting to win. You can't scheme your way out of energy. You can't clipboard your way into culture. You have to build it. And that starts with letting your best player do what he was born to do. And let's not pretend this can drag on much longer. Dylan Gabriel's no slouch either. He's right there, pushing, learning, waiting. And now, with Pickett gone, the quarterback room is officially pressure-cooked. You can't sit on two young stars forever. Eventually, one of them walks. Or, worse, both of them do. You think Shedeur is going to sit around for 2 more seasons while he gets passed over for a system QB and a nervous coach? No. He'll ask for a trade. Quietly, politely, maybe even through the media. But it'll happen. And when it does, that's it. The Browns become that team. The one that let a generational talent slip through their fingers because they couldn't get out of their own way. So here's the real decision Stefanski has to make. Not who gives us the best chance to win, but am I brave enough to get out of the way? Am I confident enough in my coaching to let Shedeur do his thing? Even if it means I'm no longer the center of attention? Even if it means I have to change my offense? Even if it means admitting I was wrong to bench him in the first place? Because if he's not, this entire franchise is going to implode in real time. And the fans? They're already halfway out the door. Some are done buying tickets. Some have already burned their jerseys. Some are watching old Deion Sanders highlights instead of the actual team on the field. The emotional divorce is happening. And once it's final, there's no coming back. So, Kevin, what's it going to be? You still have time to save this. You still have time to hand Shedeur the reins, unleash the offense, and turn this season around, not just in the win column, but in spirit, in story, in culture. But time is running out. The walls are closing in. The fans are restless. The league is watching. And Shedeur Sanders? He's ready. All right. If you're still here, that means you're in this with us, knee-deep in the most ridiculous, unnecessarily dramatic, and yet completely riveting quarterback crisis of the year. Maybe even the decade. And yes, I'm still talking about the Cleveland Browns, a team that somehow manages to turn every potential turning point into a full-blown identity meltdown. Let's recap the vibe. Fans have mentally checked out. Ratings are cratering. A coach is clinging to a system like it's a life raft. And Shedeur Sanders, arguably the most electric rookie brand-name quarterback since ever, is watching all of it from the sidelines like a VIP guest who hasn't been given a seat. You can feel the tension every time the offense trots out onto the field. The camera can barely avoid him. There's Shedeur, helmet in hand, standing by the Gatorade coolers, jaw tight, eyes locked on a game he's not allowed to change. It's cinematic. Almost too cinematic. Like, if Netflix isn't already drafting a docuseries called The Sideline Star, the Shedeur Sanders story, someone is seriously missing out. And the worst part? The Browns are losing the plot. They're not just losing games, they're losing the story they could have owned. The comeback, the rise, the reinvention, all the things that make a franchise feel alive. Instead, we're stuck in reruns. And not even the good kind. What happened to risk? To fire? To believing in something, anything, other than ball control and 12-play field goal drives? Because right now, the Browns are doing the one thing no NFL team should ever do. They're becoming irrelevant. And that's the real panic burning inside Browns headquarters. You think Stefanski's pacing around because of bad red zone efficiency? Nah. He's panicking because he knows he's on the verge of being forgotten. A coach who had a shot to change everything and chose comfort. You don't become a legend by managing a roster like a spreadsheet. You do it by trusting your gut, taking the heat, betting on the raw, imperfect, dazzling unknown. And Shedeur Sanders? He is that unknown. He's the kind of quarterback that makes announcers shout, crowds explode, and cameras scramble to catch the aftermath. He's unpredictable. And that's the point. NFL fans don't sit through 4 quarters for careful decision-making. They show up for miracles. For jaw-dropping fourth-quarter scrambles. For 40-yard bombs launched off 1 foot under pressure. For moments that feel like chaos bending into glory. And Shedeur, love him or hate him, is that moment. But instead of letting the moment unfold, the Browns are keeping him bottled up. Caged. Like he's radioactive or something. And maybe he is. Maybe he will throw interceptions. Maybe he'll make bad reads. But guess what? So does every rookie quarterback ever. Growing pains are part of the package. Look at the teams that commit, that embrace the wild ride. Baltimore with Lamar. Houston with Stroud. Even Chicago with Justin Fields got bold about it. And while none of those were smooth rides from day one, you know what they had? Identity. Momentum. Fan buy-in. What does Cleveland have? Uncertainty. Boredom. A fan base threatening mutiny. And a coach who's managing the roster like he's hoping the clock just runs out on the conversation. But this conversation isn't going anywhere. Not when you've got influencers, analysts, and ex-players calling it out on every platform. Not when highlight reels of Shedeur's college games are pulling more clicks than the Browns' actual games. Not when you've got 10-year-olds wearing his jersey and asking why he never gets to play. And can we pause for a second and appreciate how rare that is? A rookie who hasn't even started a full NFL game, and already he's selling jerseys, shifting viewership, dominating conversation. That's not hype. That's movement. That's something you build around. And yet, Kevin Stefanski is looking at that like it's a threat. It's like being handed a golden ticket and using it as a coaster. You don't get many chances like this. You don't sit on generational charisma. You unleash it. You let it wreck a few things. That's how you find magic. But maybe, Stefanski doesn't want magic. Maybe he just wants order, quiet, predictability. Maybe he's the kind of guy who prefers good enough if it means fewer headlines, less noise, less pressure. And if that's true, he's in the wrong city. Cleveland doesn't do quiet. Browns fans don't want safe, they want soul. They want fire. They want someone to believe in, even if it's messy. Especially if it's messy. And here's where things get even darker for Stefanski. Because if he does start Shedeur now, it's not a triumph. It's a concession. It means the fans won. It means ownership forced his hand. It means he didn't lead. He reacted. He played not to lose. And once you're in that narrative, there's no escaping it. Every play will be dissected. Every misstep magnified. And if Shedeur thrives, Stefanski looks like the guy who held him back. If he struggles, the coach gets blamed for not developing him earlier. Either way, the story shifts, and not in his favor. That's why the panic is real. It's not about strategy. It's about legacy. And right now, that legacy is circling the drain. Meanwhile, the fans aren't just mad, they're organizing. People are tracking snap counts, uploading sideline body language breakdowns like it's a crime scene investigation. Someone even edited a trailer called Free Shedeur, the documentary. And it's not satire, it's grief. It's hope disguised as anger. They're not just rooting for a quarterback, they're rooting for a spark. Something to remind them that this team still has life in it. That all those seasons of heartbreak weren't for nothing. And if the Browns keep pushing back against that spark, they're not just alienating fans. They're burning bridges with future stars. Because if you're a rising talent and you see how Shedeur's being handled, you think twice about signing with Cleveland. You think long and hard about who really calls the shots and whether you'll be allowed to shine. So here we are, a city full of potential, a quarterback full of fire, and a coach clinging to a system no one believes in anymore. This is the moment. This is the line in the sand. Either the Browns finally pull the trigger, hand Shedeur the reins, and embrace the storm, or they fall deeper into the gray, flavorless void of safe football that no one is showing up for. And if they choose that second option, then don't be surprised when the cameras pan over the stands and find them half empty. Don't be surprised when Browns Twitter turns into a wasteland of memes and misery. Don't be surprised when Shedeur's people start looking at other teams, teams with vision, teams with guts. And most of all, don't be surprised when you look back at this season and realize this was the moment it all slipped away. So Cleveland, we're watching and waiting for the play call that finally means something. Because until Shedeur's on that field, this isn't a football season. It's a funeral. And we didn't show up to mourn. We showed up to believe.